Booster hydraulic units have been started, and the final steering check of the engine nozzles is underway. T-minus 20. Body flap and
15.
speed brake in the launch condition. Sound suppression water system activated. T-minus 10,
Yeah, let's go
9,
for main
8.
engine start.
We're go for main engine start. 6, 5. Main engine start. 3, 2, 1. And liftoff of the Space Shuttle Atlantis on a mission to planet Earth.
Houston, Atlantis in the roll.
Roger, roll, Atlantis.
Houston now controlling. Atlantis is rolling to the proper up-down position for its climb to a 57-degree inclination, 160 nautical mile high orbit. Three engines now throttling down as Atlantis prepares to pass through the air of maximum aerodynamic pressure. Atlantis speed now 500 miles an hour, downrange 1 nautical mile, altitude 13,600 feet. Minutes since liftoff, altitude now 33,000 feet, downrange 3 nautical miles, Atlantis now traveling 1,023 miles an hour.
Atlantis, Houston, go at throttle up.
Roger, John, go at throttle up.
Three engines now throttled back up to 104% of rated capacity and operating well. Good hydraulic systems, good electrical systems. Altitude 68,000 feet, downrange 8 nautical miles. Atlantis now traveling 1,705 miles an hour. Minute 50 seconds since liftoff. Atlantis now traveling 2,386 miles an hour. Flight controllers standing by for burnout and separation of the solid rocket motors.
Atlantis, 2 engine, Zaragoza.
Copy, John, 2 engine Zaragoza, good SRB SEP, good stable T-MECOs.
And Atlantis, we copy. Performance nominal.
Copy, nominal performance.
Those calls indicate that Atlantis' first stage performance with the solid rockets was as planned, and that Atlantis could now perform a landing at Zaragoza, Spain on only 2 engines if that were to become necessary. However, 3 engines still operating well at 104%. Altitude 225,000 feet, downrange 54 nautical miles, Atlantis traveling 3,400 miles an hour. Time since liftoff, 3 minutes. The engines continuing to operate well at 104%, good hydraulic systems, good electrical systems, altitude 300,000 feet, downrange 98 nautical miles, Atlantis now traveling 4,430 miles an hour. Time now liftoff plus 4 minutes.
Atlantis, negative return and press to ATO.
We copy, John. Press to ATO and negative return.
Those calls indicate that Atlantis has gained too much altitude and is traveling too fast to return to the Kennedy Space Center if that were to become necessary, and also that Atlantis could press to a lower than planned but safe orbit on only 2 engines if that were to become necessary. However, all 3 engines continue to operate well at 104%. Good hydraulic systems, good electrical system. Altitude now 351,000 feet, downrange 174 nautical miles. Atlantis now traveling 5,800 miles an hour.
Atlantis, press to MECO.
Copy, Houston, press to MECO.
That call indicates that Atlantis could press to a normal main engine cutoff with only 2 engines operating if that were to become necessary. Time since liftoff now 5 minutes 10 seconds. Altitude 364,000 feet, downrange 219 nautical miles. Atlantis now traveling 6,818 miles an hour.
Atlantis, Droop Zaragoza, 109.
We copy, Troop Zaragoza, 109, John.
2 minutes 50 seconds to main engine cutoff. That call indicates that Atlantis could perform a transatlantic landing at Zaragoza, Spain on only 1 engine by throttling that engine up to 109% if that were to become necessary. However, all 3 engines continue to operate well at 104% of capacity. Good hydraulic systems, good electrical systems. Altitude now 370,000 feet.
Atlantis, single engine Zaragoza, 104.
Copy, single engine 104.
That call indicates that Atlantis could reach Zaragoza on only one engine by leaving that engine at 104% if that were to become necessary. However, all three continue to operate well. Good hydraulics, good electrical systems, altitude 368,000 feet, downrange 353 nautical miles. Atlantis now traveling 9,545 miles an hour. Now 2 minutes away from main engine cutoff.
Atlantis single engine press 104.
We copy single engine press, 104.
That call indicating that Atlantis could reach a normal main engine cutoff on only one engine if that were to become necessary. However, all three continue to operate well. Altitude 364,000 feet. Atlantis now traveling 11,250 miles an hour. Downrange 450 nautical miles. Good hydraulics, good electrical systems. 1 minute to main engine cutoff. 3 engines throttling back as the vehicle passes through an area to limit the amount of stress on it to 3 times the force of gravity. Altitude 360,000 feet. Downrange 585 nautical miles. Atlantis traveling 14,318 miles an hour. 20 seconds to main engine cutoff. Atlantis now traveling 15,680 miles an hour. Downrange 677 nautical miles. Altitude 365,000 feet. Flight controllers now standing by for shutoff of the main engines. Officer confirms the normal shutoff of the main engines. Is now standing by for jettison of the external fuel tank from Atlantis.
Houston, Atlantis.
Roger, Atlantis. We see nominal MECO, no ohms 1 required.
Okay, the pride of the fleet concurs.
Booster officer confirms a good separation of the external tank.
Atlantis Houston, Charlie, you have a go for the photo DTO.
Okay, we copy, John. We'll put that in work.
That call indicating that Atlantis crew members will photograph the external tank as it separates from Atlantis.
Atlantis Houston, comm check on Tedra's East.
We got you loud and clear, John. How else?
You're loud and clear, Charlie.
This is Mission Control Houston. We will be leaving live coverage of the Atlantis mission for playbacks of the launch of Atlantis from the Kennedy Space Center. We're 25 minutes and 30 seconds away from ignition of an orbital maneuvering system burn that will put Atlantis into a circular 160 nautical mile high orbit. All systems on board Atlantis are continuing to function well with a flawless ascent to orbit. Atlantis currently passing over Central Europe.
Atlantis Houston, you have a go for APU shutdown on time.
Okay, John, we just had the body flap light get out, and we'll go ahead and put it in work.
Roger that.
Go ahead, Marshal Commentator. This is Houston Commentator.
Atlantis Houston.
Go ahead, John.
Charlie, you have a go for vacuum inerting anytime after MET of 18 minutes. Nominal ohms 2 targets, and preliminary TIG is 37:03.
Okay, we copy. Go for vacuum inerting, and Brian's already got his clock going. Nominal ohms 2 targets. Houston, Atlantis.
Go ahead, Atlantis.
Yeah, John, just want to give you a heads up. I'm going to go ahead and press on with the MPS power down and vacuum inerting.
Okay, you have a go for that. Atlantis for Charlie, we need Pry FES on, Pry A on.
Okay, John, that's complete.
Well, Houston on board Atlantis, Commander Charlie Bolden and the crew of STS-45 continue to ready the spacecraft for its stay on orbit and for an upcoming engine firing that will circularize Atlantis' orbit at approximately 160 nautical miles. Atlantis' current altitude is 119 nautical miles as it continues to increase in a highly elliptical orbit, and it reaches a high point in that orbit of about 153 nautical miles altitude. The orbital maneuvering system engines will be fired to circularize the orbit. Currently about 14 minutes and 45 seconds away from ignition of that engine firing. That firing of the orbital maneuvering system engines will last for approximately 2 minutes and 31 seconds and result in a change in velocity for the spacecraft of 255.5 feet per second, or about 171 miles an hour. Again, this firing of Atlantis' orbital maneuvering system engines will last 2 minutes 31 seconds and result in a change of velocity for Atlantis about 172 miles an hour. Circularizing Atlantis' orbit at 160 nautical miles.
Right here. Still right here.
Atlantis, Houston. Hot mic.
Okay, John, thanks.
And Atlantis, I've got an updated TIG for you, 36:20.
Okay, John, we copy.
Atlantis, after your ohms burn, that'll leave you with an orbit of 160 by 152. We'll probably need to burn later on to circularize that.
Houston, Atlantis, John, we got the ET doors closed and that's good indications and the times appeared good.
Okay, we see that. We concur. Atlantis, Houston with a switch throw on A12.
Okay, John, stand by one. Okay, we're ready for it.
Okay, you're about to get an alarm SM thermal message. So back on A12, need APU heater, tank, fuel line, water sys, 1 Bravo, 2 Bravo, 3 Bravo to auto.
And all three are complete, John.
Thank you much.
Control Houston, we're now about 7.5 minutes away from ignition. Correction, about 8.5 minutes away from ignition of an orbital maneuvering system engine firing for Atlantis that will circularize the spacecraft's orbit to an orbit of 160 nautical miles high by 153 nautical miles high. Following that engine firing, very slight engine firing will be required later in the flight to circularize Atlantis' orbit at 160 nautical miles per the requirements of the Atmospheric Laboratory for Applications in Science. At main engine cutoff, Atlantis' velocity was about 4 miles an hour less than had been predicted. Atlantis currently is traveling at about 17,500 miles an hour. However, for all intents and purposes, Atlantis' climb to orbit was completely normal. Atlantis is about 5.5 minutes away from passing out of range and of communications and out of range of the Eastern Tracking Satellite. We'll lose communications with Atlantis for a few minutes before regaining communications with Atlantis through a ground tracking station in the Indian Ocean, and we will be out of communications with Atlantis for ignition of the orbital maneuvering system engine burn. However, shortly after shutoff of the OMS engines, we will regain communications with Atlantis.
Atlantis.
Go ahead, Atlantis.
Yeah, John, be advised, we're getting just constant white noise on UHF.
Okay, we copy that. Atlantis, Houston, we're going to lose you over the hill in about 2 minutes. We'll pick you up S-band at Diego at about 38 MET.
Okay, we copy, John. And we're 2.5 minutes from the burn.
Roger, you have a go for the burn.
Well, Houston, we've lost communications with Atlantis as it passes out of range of the Eastern Tracking Satellite. On board, Commander Charlie Bolden and the crew of STS-45 are about 40 seconds away from ignition of an orbital maneuvering system engine firing that will circularize Atlantis' orbit and put the spacecraft into an orbit of 153 nautical miles by 160 nautical miles high. Again, this engine firing will last about 2.5 minutes and result in a change in the speed of Atlantis of about 172 miles an hour. We'll regain communications with the spacecraft via a ground tracking station for a short period in about 2 minutes and 10 seconds, just at the end of the planned engine firing.
And it's Houston. We're with you through Diego.
Okay, John, good burn and nothing else to report.
Okay, thank you. Look good to us, too.
This is Mission Control Houston. We've regained communications with Atlantis. Report from the crew was that it was a good engine firing. Propulsion officer confirmed that. Atlantis' current orbit is 160 nautical miles high by 154 nautical miles high. We will be going now to the Kennedy Space Center for a press conference with NASA Administrator Richard
Go ahead.
Truly.
John, if the prop guys are watching, we're ready for the PVC gimbal check.
Okay, you have a go. We're watching.
Inward. Secondary checks inward.
Okay.
Good checks, John.
Atlantis, Houston.
Go ahead, Houston.
Charlie, the plan here is that at about 2 hours, 50 minutes MET, we'll do another burn, probably around 15 feet per second to circ up.
Okay, John, we copy that 15 feet per second at about 250 MET.
Good copy. Atlantis, Houston, in the blind, need the back panel configured for TDRS, panel command, best antenna. Atlantis, Houston, comm check. Atlantis, Houston, comm check.
Houston, Atlantis, loud and clear.
Okay, we've got you loud and clear also. Atlantis, Houston, we need upper right forward antenna.
Mission Control Houston, Atlantis currently passing south of Australia as it moves toward completion of its first orbit of Earth. On board, the crew is continuing to prepare for their stay on orbit. The next major event will be to open Atlantis' payload bay doors. Also, the computers on board are being switched from the software used for ascent and insertion into orbit to the software that's used for orbit operations. Again, engine firing of the orbital maneuvering system engines on Atlantis, normal planned firing to circularize the spacecraft's orbit at 160 nautical miles went very well. Atlantis currently is in an orbit of 160 nautical miles high by 154 nautical miles high. Second burn, a very slight burn of about 13 feet per second, actually about 9 miles an hour. Change in velocity for Atlantis will be required a little later on in the flight, about 3 hours into the flight, to tweak the orbit and make sure that it is exactly at 160 nautical miles circular for requirements of the atmospheric laboratory
ahead,
applications payload.
Yeah, you probably saw we got a
APU Spec 86 message. We looked at it. We don't see anything too unusual there, do y'all?
Okay, we'll take a look at that. And Atlantis, we lost you for a while on comm. Can you tell us what you did, if you did a panel command, and what your configuration is now?
Okay, yeah, when we came up in Ops 2, the GPC selected antenna was the lower left aft, and it had a down arrow next to it. We had no comm with you, so we manually selected around until we got to the upper right aft, which was the first place that we contacted you, and we are now in the upper right forward position. We never did a panel command. Atlantis, did you copy that?
Roger, we copied that, and we think we lost you because the BFS went down prior to locking up on Tidris.
Okay, would you like us to switch back over to GPC for you?
Stand by 1. Atlantis, Houston.
Go ahead, Houston.
Roger, we concur on your Spec 86 message. That's no action for you, nominal for going into Ops 2. After you've completed Step 9 and SM has control of the payload buses, you can go back to auto or GPC on the antenna.
Okay, John, we copy that.
This is Mission Control Houston. Again, all systems on Atlantis functioning very well. The crew is going through procedures to get ready for their stay on orbit and their work with the Atmospheric Laboratory for Applications in Science. The next major event will be opening of the payload bay doors. Also, Atlantis will have a slight engine firing at about 3 hours into the flight to fine-tune their orbit at 160 nautical miles circular. 4 observations that will be done with the Atmospheric Laboratory for Applications in Science.
Houston, Atlantis.
Go ahead, Atlantis.
Yeah, John, we're ready to take the BFS to standby. I just want to make sure that Inco or no one has any problem with it.
Well, you have a go for that.